going to talk about units of the derivative and also going back to the very beginning and talking about the definition of the derivative and what everything means. So the definition of the derivative of f, and really we need to make a clarification. We should say the derivative of f with respect to x, and we usually leave off that with respect to x part when we're talking about it because it's very long, but it's important. So the derivative of f with respect to x is f prime equals the limit as h goes to 0 of f of x plus h minus f of x over h. So what does this with respect to x part mean? Well, when I take a derivative, I'm really asking how does f change as x changes? So we live in a dynamic world and things are changing all the time and they affect other variables. So maybe one thing changes and affects something else. The price of a good changes and it affects the demand for that good. Time moves forward and that affects the population. So let's go ahead and write down a few different notations that we could see. So let's do units first. I got out of order. Let's do the units first. So if I look up at my definition, I'm looking at a ratio, and the top of this ratio is really a change in f, and the denominator is a change in our input, or our x. Okay? So the units of the derivative are always going to be the units of f divided by the units of x, or we're going to say the units of f per units of x. And we'll do an example of this in a separate video. I also want to talk about notation. So if f of x is our function, then the derivative at 3 we might write as f prime of 3. But a different notation is df dx evaluated. This big line here means evaluated at x equals 3. And really this df dx means the derivative of f with respect to x. And we need to be careful of what we're taking a derivative with respect to. What is it that's changing? If I want to think about f prime of x as a function, another notation would be df dx. I really think of this dx as an action. It is taking the derivative, and I might say df of x. dx means I'm taking of f, means I'm taking the derivative of f with respect to x.